Start recording now. Hi, Mr. Marc Mero. Greatly appreciate your time and uh, effort to make this happen, even with some technical difficulties. I hope you're doing well and having a good day.
I am Drew. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Cool.
So we'll just jump right in. You started training in '91 with the Malenkos. Is that true?
Actually, 90. I signed
90
my first contract in 91 with WCW, but I started training in 1990.
was did any of your training with the Malenkos help you get that position, or?
Yeah, I mean, those Boris Belenko, the dad, was the one that really was hands on with us, and he was fantastic. He was just a super person, man. I mean, he didn't get a lot out of this. I mean, he didn't make a lot of money with us kids. I mean, we paid like $20 here and there. He just enjoyed helping people, and I owe so much to him for what he's done for me that I was able to land a spot in WCW.
Um, Obviously his training seemed to bore fruits. You were very talented, and of course the Malenkos, you know, also very talented people. So that's very good for you, and seemed to really help your career.
Well, was there when I was there, before anybody even knew our names, was Sean Waltman, one,
Oh,
two,
really?
yeah, he was there also. And he was just a skinny little kid, man, bumping around that ring. And then he did, such an amazing career.
That's really interesting too, because kind of two of the pioneers really of high flying style in the early '90s, and especially American wrestling. I mean, you stand out a lot, and so does Sean Waltman when he was 1, 2, 3 kid too. You guys kind of seem to really influence or change a lot of the style. You're one of the first people that were doing all those elaborate flips off the rope, kind of like consistently. So, what did you learn that from the Malenkos, or what was it like to kind of
Actually,
influence wrestling?
he didn't have us do many things off the top rope. It was, I learned, believe it or not, I learned most of that when I was a kid. We used to go to this. I was living after I moved out of Buffalo when I was going to high school. We went to a lake called Green Lakes in Syracuse, and they had diving boards there. And I would do all these, us, me and my crazy friends, we do just crazy stuff off the diving board. See if we could do 2 or 3 flips off the diving board. We probably never landed correctly, but that's where I got the turn in midair called, the one we called I think we called that the Mero salt. And, um, learning the wild thing, the shooting star press, they call it. I was doing that on a diving board, although I didn't land on my stomach, I landed on my feet. But that's where I really learned how to do that, and then just bringing it to the WWE.
Um, that's really interesting too, because the Hardy Boys said that they kind of learned how to do all their flips and stuff because they had their trampoline and their wrestling ring made out of trampoline in the backyard. So it's really just the kind of funny things that all really help people later on, and you have no idea at the time that doing a shooting star press as a child might be as of some use when you're an adult.
Yeah.
uh, but so when you debuted in the WCW, you kind of had a rather flamboyant gimmick. You were a little kind of like a little Richie-esque Johnny B. Bad. Were you at all worried that the flamboyant character would kind of like limit you in some way? Because a lot of them, I mean, there's some exceptions like Ric Flair and Gorgeous George have like flair and gravitas and have been successful, but especially during the time like with gimmicky stuff, were you kind of concerned for the future of your career? Because I mean, obviously you got pushed right away, so
Well,
there.
here I am making, $23,000 a year digging in-ground swimming pools. And here's a 6-figure contract.
Right.
You weigh them out and you go, you know what? And not only that, Dusty Rhodes, was the brainchild behind that character. And I worked with Dusty so much with that character. He would teach me how to walk and talk and, say it like this, and he'd do this. And some of the greatest memories I have was working with Dusty, learning the character Johnny B. Bad, because, here I am just really out of wrestling school. I was so green, and here I am being, wrestling guys like Sting and Cactus Jack and, Ric Flair and guys that have been around the business for years. And, with being so nervous, like going out there and not even knowing what you're doing. It was, but, Dusty worked with me and helped me, make it more into the character where, I could have my wrestling catch up to the character, so to speak.
Yeah, Dusty. A lot of people love Dusty. Like, I was just talking to Mr. TJ Wilson, who's Tyson Kidd, and he was from the Hart Family Dungeon stuff as well, and he was talking about how much Dusty really impacted him too, and losing him was a really tough loss for everybody. But I was lucky enough to meet him as well as a child, and he just had such a gravity and such kindness and charm, and just a brilliant mind for the business. So very, how lucky are you to, have been able to work for it with him so closely, especially develop a character like that. And
So blessed. Like I said, some of the greatest memories I have was working with Dusty Rhodes, and losing him
mhm.
was terrible for the industry, but more on a personal level, it hurt. Some of us were devastated when we lost the Dream.
Right. Yeah, he was really just incredible. It was a couple of days after my birthday. I was wrecked. I was so sad. But so you won your first, I believe, won your first WCW television title, beating William Regal. Uh, what kind of moment was winning your first title, major title? Did you really feel like a sense of accomplishment, like things are really starting to come together for you?
It was one of the greatest moments I had. I mean, obviously winning your first belt where the company feels that, you're moving up the ladder to where you can, hold a championship and be the guy. It was an honor. William Regal, Steve Regal is one of the best. I mean, he helped me along working because we worked every night, I mean, when we were in our program together. And he was such an amazing and accomplished wrestler that he helped me so much. And there's so many guys that they put me on the road with to learn in front of house shows the business and learn the psychology and the moves and everything else that were going on. I'm always a good athlete, so I picked it up fairly quickly. But there were some guys I really owe a debt of gratitude towards.
Especially the conflict of style too. He's such a technical wrestler, and you could do that as well, but especially incorporating high flying moves, and just a great psychological mind. I really enjoyed watching some of those older matches. I think they hold up particularly well. But you also mentioned feeling that the company has faith in you. So right after you left WCW, you joined WWE and debuted at WrestleMania. So if you want to talk about having faith, getting the debut on the biggest show of the year, what was that like?
Well, there was two times I was offered to go to. Each time my contract was up with WCW, I actually met with Vince
Mhm.
to structure a deal. And I told them that, the first time they didn't want to offer, I said, oh, I get a guaranteed contract at
Right.
WCW and I'm not going to come here. So we parted ways with, no hard feelings. It was like, that's what we do here. The next time around, I said, Vince, I want a guaranteed contract. I want a signing bonus. And I had different stipulations in my contract that he met them all. I mean, he wanted me really bad at that time. And it was an honor, what I mean? And I always felt like I needed to go to the WWE because going to WrestleMania was like going to the dance. That's the Super Bowl of
Right.
wrestling, and having that opportunity to work WrestleMania was an honor. And I enjoyed the character Johnny B. Bad so much more. I mean, it was just it was so opposite of who I am, and it was just fun. And Wildman Marc Mero I never really connected with, and the fans didn't connect with it. It was very difficult. So, I enjoyed the character, but I wouldn't change anything. I have no regrets. I'm glad I did it. And my career, I had a really good career.
And that's one thing you bring about the character, and I know a lot of talents really kind of discuss how hard it is for them when they feel a disconnect with it and they're not able to do what they want with it. But in terms of like in ring work, I know you said you had a disconnect, but I mean it doesn't really show. And so I think it's just really important for people to take a lot of pride in the fact that even if you have the disconnect, if your quality of work doesn't suffer, then it really shows a real dedication to your craft. Like Mr. TJ Wilson and I were talking about, like Shawn Michaels going through all of his troubles, still putting in that body of work, and that's really what sells someone, and really makes a legacy. So I sorry, I ran Ray, but I'm a big fan of your in ring work actually. So
Thank you.
I talk about it a lot.
I was blessed to work with some of the greatest wrestlers out there. When you look at the quality of wrestlers I was able to work with, I mean, when you're talking about guys like Ric Flair, Triple H, um, Undertaker, you know, gosh, when they first put with Ricky Morton, with Rock and Roll Express, he was amazing to work with. Lord Steven Regal. The list goes on and on. Cactus Jack. I mean, when you look at the people that I was able to be in the ring with, that I learned from, and that helped me along the way, and had Stone Cold Steve Austin. Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
I was,
Great match was Flying Brian. My gosh, Fall Brawl, we killed it, and of course, my good friend Diamond Dallas Page. In fact, today is his birthday.
yeah, I saw that. I was gonna happy
Um,
birthday to him.
we wrestle each other probably more times than anyone else I wrestle. Well, I think the three guys I wrestled the most, um, uh, Stone Cold, because we were both in WCW and WWE together. Same thing with Triple H. We're wrestling them in programs in both companies. So we were together for quite a while, for many, many years. And of course, Diamond Dallas Page, me and him, we were on the road together forever, doing programs together, pay-per-view after pay-per-view. So we wrestled each other so many times. And you just build this chemistry, this amazing work ethic and quality work that you're really proud of when you look back on the matches that we were doing, back then. I mean, we were talking 20 years ago now.
Right, and you started mentioning the wrestlers you fought, but when you won your first IC title, you beat like Stone Cold and Owen Hart and like Farouk and everybody. So and like those are legend of the industry as well. So I mean, it's you like you said, just been very blessed, and that was just a really great time. How fondly do you kind of look back at your whole entire career and
I
just
mean, it was such an honor. I think I appreciate it more now as you look back than when you're doing it. When you're doing it, a lot of it is work. You're traveling, it's tough. But when you look back on your life and you say, what are the things you're really proud of? And it opened the doors to what I do now, that maybe I would never been able to have this amazing speaking career, traveling all over the world again. I mean, we spoke at schools in Russia. Before the pandemic, we were in Guatemala. It's just been incredible to take what I once did and now turn it into, helping other people with my speaking engagements.
yeah, I was actually gonna mention those because I'm from Plant City, Florida,
Mhm.
just a little bit outside of Tampa. So, and I know you did a lot of work in kind of near Central Florida, and so I've seen just a lot of the speaking videos. Do you think that working as Johnny B. Bad and being so charismatic, and especially with WWE, really just kind of set you up for this, just like kind of perfectly?
It's it's a little different speaking than John
Yeah.
Bad. I don't think at schools I said once, I'm so outrageous, it's contagious. But
You can't cut a promo on the kids these days. What's wrong with our country?
I mean, when you get in front of a middle or high school crowd, it's the toughest crowd you're ever going to be in front
Yeah.
of. So I really learned how to connect with students, and it's been a really fun process and a journey that I, enjoy so much. I mean, I get letter after letter on how the program, changed or even saved a kid's life. So that's that's the thing, I guess, when I look back on my life, the legacy I want to leave is, not how many championships I won or how much money I made or how big my house was, but the legacy I want to leave is the difference I was able to make in someone else's life. And that's a legacy I'm really proud of.
And what is the name of the program, and where can people find out more about it if they
It's
were interested?
called Champion Choices. This is my 15th year. How crazy is that? 15 years speaking now. And our website is Think Pause, which is POZ, thinkpause.org. And of course, go to YouTube. If you go to YouTube channel, my YouTube channel is the Marc Mero, and Marc is with a C, Marcmero. You can see the videos and different things that we've been able to do throughout the years. Of course, just Google my name on Facebook or Twitter, and it's just at Marc Mero, and you can find me there. And I'd love to hear from a listener that heard me on this show. That'd be really cool.
For sure, I'll definitely include everything. Just one more question before, I know you're busy. Do you have enough time for a few more? Or um, when you mentioned that you had when you first signed WWE, you want a guaranteed contract and certain stipulations. Was that kind of because I know you gotten hurt in WCW as well. So were you really just kind of looking at your self-interest, especially with your high-flying style? Were you just really thinking long term, knowing you can't do this forever and having your early grasp on that?
Well, knowing that, they were getting paid per how much they drew at the house shows and so on, and I didn't know anything different. I mean, from the moment I signed with WCW, my first contract was guaranteed. So, and then it doubled the next year and then doubled again. And it's just I had an incredible, so I was used to making, fairly good money, and I thought I was worth it. I knew Vince really wanted me. And look, it opened the doors to every single wrestler eventually getting a guaranteed contract, or most every wrestler after me was getting guaranteed contracts. But I mean, like Mick Foley and Steve Austin went before me, and they never got a guaranteed deal until after I got one. And so, as much as I think some guys were upset that I got it, you really look back, it opened the doors for everyone to get it eventually. It was like breaking that glass ceiling.
Yeah, that's tremendous, and I think that's really important, especially with the lack of a lot of like healthcare and insurance, because they can't work two jobs. But just one more, since you kind of brought it up with how was the injury, or how was the medical treatment and stuff for injuries back in when you were wrestling? Because obviously they made much better strides now, but what was kind of your experience in terms of the treatment that you received?
Well, I mean, when I blew out my knee in WWE, where I had to get total reconstructive surgery, I had ACL, medial collateral meniscus. I had my whole knee redone, and they sent me to the best doctor in the country, Dr. Andrews in Birmingham, Alabama. So I was blessed to have one of the greatest physicians work on my knee, and if I didn't have a scar on my knee, I wouldn't even know which knee it was. That's how good it is. So, but first coming back, it was it took a while to really heal fully. So I had to be careful on going right back to certain moves that I'd be leery of doing. And I still did the wild thing off the top rope a few times, but I didn't. It wasn't like an every night thing, because remember, people don't realize that you're doing that at a house show every night. You're doing wrestling, 5-6 times a week. And when you're landing on your knees off the top rope every night, it takes its toll on you, on your body, because remember, you're taking most of the punishment, not the guy you're landing on. So it definitely, I've had, now I think back, I think I've had 14 surgeries now on, knees, elbows, shoulders, back. I've had a lot of stuff done. So, but I'm the healthiest I think I've ever been.
Yeah.
I'm not having to take those falls anymore.
Especially with the DDP yoga. Wish that had been around, huh?
Yeah, I actually set up a room in my new home. I actually moved close to him. We don't live too far from each other, but instead of driving over his house every day and doing the yoga, I do it on the app, and I have my own kind of yoga room now. But that's great for flexibility and stuff. That's why it's so important, especially as you age, man. Flexibility is so important. That's what we lose. That's why you see a lot of older people like hunched over walking, or walking real gingerly or whatever. So for me, it really helped me out a lot.
Yeah, it's really nice to see not as many guys are in wheelchairs anymore and stuff as much as it once was. It's good to see that the industry is taking better care of it, because it's really long overdue. And it's all about trailblazers, people that first make that first step, like you with the guaranteed contracts in WWE. And that's just how the industry and every organization improves, with baby steps. But I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this. It really means a lot. I know you said you have another podcast to do, so I'll make sure you have time to prepare for that and everything. But
it was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you. Great questions today. And I look forward to doing it again sometime.
great, thank you. I really, really do appreciate it.
All right, buddy. God bless you.